social media being a less trusted platform to share information about the product, do you think that manufacturers should still rely on the social media platform for sharing information?
I think it's important to rely on social media just by the sheer volume and the tonnage of access that it provides. The trick is to find the right kind of social media and determine what kind of social media is best for establishing trust, and to avoid those channels of social media that aren't very strong in terms of creating trust.
So, consumer decision making we are studying about right now. So, do you think that 100% transparency is easy to maintain to gain the trust of customers in the market?
I think 100% transparency has to be the goal. To try to shade it and to do anything less than being totally truthful with your communication, I think is risky. Consumers are increasingly saying they're demanding more from products, and they're demanding more from information, and they're demanding that information be trusted. So I think 100% trustworthiness has got to be the starting point and hopefully the ending point in terms of designing a communications program.
So you were talking about good social media and bad social media. Do you think at any point the bad social media is more dominant on the good one? Because sometimes criticism about a product is more than appreciation.
I think it depends on the category and depends on the company. The social media, I think that actually there's social media out there that can actually, I think, hurt trustworthiness, and that was kind of my point, is that when consumers can't distinguish between company, commercially client-sponsored work and true social communication from consumers, that's a problem. That if consumers can't distinguish it and they think they're being fooled, that's going to destroy trust, and that's exactly what you don't want. I think that's creating a bigger problem than before you started. So I think companies need to be very careful about trying to fool consumers into thinking that it's totally objective and totally transparent. It's like buying celebrities. People are looking to pay money to celebrities to endorse a product, and I think there's a right way of doing that. There's a wrong way of doing it.
So, what do you think should be the strategies to bridge the communication gap between consumers and the manufacturers in terms of, imparting light or shedding light on the product, providing information?
I mean, in many ways, there should be no gap. I mean, I think it's up to the manufacturer and the communication people within the manufacturer to be very forthright and very honest with how the product's made and where it's made and how it's sourced and what it can do, and most importantly, what it cannot do. And I think consumers, will give you credit for being honest and truthful with the delivery of your product.
Consumers don't believe the manufacturer's information.
33% of them don't. Yeah.
So the brands, they're not looking into the long-term procedure of promoting the products and relying on information that goes by word of mouth. So do you think the brands will be patient enough to wait for the long-term procedure?
Well, I think brands have to be very aggressive with this, and they can't. Every day loss is a day loss when it comes to not being truthful and honest with brand communication. I think brands have to be very aggressive with this, and not to try to hold out for the long-term solution, but it's an everyday solution. It's an orientation, I think, to your communication program. It's having the right orientation that says we're going to be honest and truthful and transparent in how we communicate about our brand, and we want our customers to respect us for our truthfulness, and they will respect us. They will respect you for your truthfulness. But you have to, again, it's all about recognizing that consumers are demanding more and more from companies, and they're demanding more and more truthfulness from companies. And if you fail to deliver on that, you're going to suffer. You will not be able to take advantage of these consumers who are very happy to tell your story if you give it to them in the right way.
For the newer brands to launch themselves in the market.
You say the fast market?
Yeah, the market is changing, right? You have to be digitalized, and the word of mouth is going.
It's dynamic.
It's speed kills, as they say. It's a dangerous world these days. I was talking to somebody earlier about tech startups, how the cost of failure comes very quickly. Success comes quickly and failure comes very quickly. So I think the point that I take from all of this is that you can't come to truthfulness and you can't come to trust late. It has to be built into the essence of your company from the very beginning, and make it a part of your culture and part of your fabric and part of your ethic, and then you drive it all throughout the organization very strongly from the very beginning.
So you talked about trust. Do you think the younger generation is more keen to trust on a brand than the senior generation or the
Well,
older
the,
generation?
the data says that millennials, at least in the U.S., are less trusting, but the fact that they're embracing so many companies like Airbnb and Uber, which are built on trust, says that they can be convinced. They can be convinced that these companies are addressing the trust concern and solving the problems. But I think young people are inherently more distrustful, and you have to just work that much harder to convince them that you can be trusted.